Hello, my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is our session 0, our setup session for a quarterly series of Apocalypse Keys subtitled All the Bells on Earth. And this is a game of monsters fighting monsters and struggling with their own identity and their own purposes and so on. The touchstones for this are Hellboy and BPRD. It's the Doom Patrol comic and TV show. It's a little bit of the Invisibles for comics for high weirdness. I'd also mention the Imperfects is a recent show on HBO with kind of people struggling with monstrousness. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the best parts of that are things to keep in mind as that. And we're going to be playing a quarterly, a setup session, and then 12 sessions following. This is a session 0. So if you're watching at home, if you like watching APs, this is the character creation session. So this is the session that you may be like, oh, God, I don't want to listen to that. Some people like doing that, but we're going to be setting up and going through those things today. I want to mention something. I kind of jump out of my usual order, and this is directed at the players. We have a safety first tool there. That's the second tab on our character keeper. We're using the approach that Apocalypse Keys has, which rather than kind of the standard lines and veils, we have items that are green, which are themes, stories, and ideas we're excited to play through. Ideas that are yellow, that are theme stories and ideas where what is he less of? That might be veiled or mentioned off screen, or they might be implied, but we don't deal with them. We don't dive into them. And then red are our lines. These are the themes, stories, and ideas we don't want to see in the game. Now, I mention that to you now because we are going to want to talk a little bit about that before we get to character introductions. So I wanted to put that in your head. So as I go through cats and things and get all of that set up, feel free to go ahead and add in things there on that safety tab, on those elements as we're having this discussion. And then we'll check in and talk about some of those things. We'll see how they fit with what we're doing and make sure that we're on the same page and calibrate on that. We'll talk a little bit more about that when I get to the end of the cats when we talk about safety. So I just wanted to put that out there. So without further too much ado, I'm going to walk through the cats. I'm going to do a little bit of not the full read through of everything. There is a link to the cats on that safety tab document, but there's some things I want to highlight, mention, and in particular, when we get to the end, I want to talk about the different playbooks and what they bring to the table. So you have some thoughts on some ideas about that as we go into that. So our cats discussion starts with what the concept is. So Apocalypse Keys, as you've seen the pitch, kind of know this, but let's talk about this. You are playing what are called Omen class monsters, and you work for the Department of Interdimensional Vigilance and International Security Interdisciplinary Operations Network, otherwise known as Division. Division is a mysterious organization dedicated to understanding the occult, to fighting monsters, to taming the supernatural, to protecting the world. They're the ones that stand against all of the apocalypses that have come up. This is a world that has monsters and the mundane in it. The mundane, the waking world tries to pretend that there aren't monsters, but some people know there's an undercurrent. There's a kind of talk about that, the sort of the vibe of Hellboy that we've seen in where there's kind of an awareness, but maybe also some denial that's going on there. Division has existed for a long, long time. And we may see some of that history in some of the mysteries that we go to. Now, this is a game about emotional connections. It's about complicated relationships. It's about solving mysteries, apocalyptic threats, and darkness versus despair. This is a game where you're going to lean into your character's emotional state, kind of ruining themselves, what drives them, and how that helps them get through things and how it makes them fallible. It is not exactly play to fail, but there's certainly a play to risk yourself in things. In the game itself, you're going to be facing harbingers. Harbinger is a figure in any particular mystery that is kind of at the heart of the apocalypse that's happening. The harbingers are tools, or they're operators within that apocalypse that you have to figure out who they are, what they want, and how to stop them. They are singular figures of destruction. All of you have the potential to be harbingers. That's why you're Omen class monsters, is because you're steps away from going down that path, but you're here to stop them. In play, we're going to be solving mysteries as agents of this. You're going to be investigating with your unique powers. There are a number of those. There are looking for clues, which are called keys in this game. Those keys are going to be associated with facets of the mystery. They may get associated with a particular facet of the mystery during play, or when we get to the end, when we're kind of trying to figure out, we're trying to open the door to solve the mystery, we may associate it with facets at that point. That gives us a little structure rather than, okay, who done it? We actually are going to have some pieces to put together. We are characters that are wrestling with power. You have a great amount of power. You are significantly powerful. You are widescreen action characters. While the tone may not fit, if anyone has read the Authority comic book and how kind of over the top and smash through things, that's what you should imagine your powers can do. We have a fairly small set of basic moves, but they're powerful. Like, you can do a lot with them. If you want to define, I want to go for something big, we'll roll for that. We'll see that effect. And of course, given the way that the game works, it's very easy to go over the top with that and cause fallout and collateral damage. You are characters monsters who fight monsters, and as the game says, very few people are like you. You are tied to the people in division. You are tied to one another. You're connected through bonds. You want to develop a rapport, and you may start out already bound up in tangles of mistakes, of regrets, of love, of simple affection, of connections of unrequited love, all of those things. Now, this game does have a lot of the sort of the romance and emotional things. On the safety tab, we also have a matrix for deciding how much you want to lean into romance or not. It is perfectly fine to say, I'm not as interested in those kinds of things. So I just want to get out there. That's especially important for players who are ace or want to play ace characters or things like that, aromantic. So I just want to put that out there. You are driven by the demands of your darkness, and that will probably lead you to ruin. There is a mechanical weight to ruin and to problems and things like that. Urban Shadows has a similar system with corruption, but this is, I think, more active, engaged, and rich there. So you may be trying to keep yourself from going down that path. You may have to have your fellow monsters keep you from going too far. So that's the basic concept here. It's a monsters game. It's an emotional game. It's a mystery solving game. These are all things I like. So I'm very excited about that. Our aim today is we're going to be doing the creation of our characters, establishing some important details about mystery, and if time permits, we may also do kind of a day in the life of scene for our characters. The first mystery is a simple one and is intended to kind of be a one-session mystery to get the flavor of things, and then we'll roll into mysteries that will be, I'm guessing, 3 or 4 sessions per mystery to resolve things. And those will kind of start in the middle of things. You'll be on the ground doing the mysteries. The connective tissue will be your relationships with one another, and the people at division and your relationships with them, and some NPCs. So imagine that as the kind of the tie through. In terms of tone, this is a game about mystery, about horror, with a focus on investigation. It means we're going to be looking at emotional states of our characters, relationships, and many of those mechanics focus on relationships and romance. It's also a game where the tone is dark, since we're dealing with apocalyptic themes. This is supernatural, horror, and so on. I will try to provide content warnings at the beginning of particular mysteries if there are things that we want to keep an eye out for. And I'll also cue those to what we set as our yellow and red items on the list. Now, the subject matter of the game, kind of got that from there, going out and doing these mysteries. The subject matter really ties into the playbook that you choose. Each playbook has a theme that drives the kinds of stories that you're going to be playing. And one of the things that I have to say is, having played through this several times, having run this, these playbooks can go in really different directions in terms of what they're like, in terms of who they are. But there are some themes that go with them. And I want to briefly go through those. So we have, I think it's 7 playbooks. And you might ask yourself, what order is these in? This doesn't look like alphabetical order. Why would they do this? This is an order of complexity. It goes from least complex to more complex, more involved. That's kind of implied in the game itself. So our first character type is the summoned. This is a monster who's been summoned from another world. They're blunt, aggressive, demanding. Their themes about violence, about struggling against their destiny, against prophecy, and their desire to be loved. So that's the summoned. The surge is someone who is barely in control of their powers. They have been gifted with great talents or skills, or cursed or whatever, and they're trying to share that burden with other people. It is an explosive, overwhelming, and radiant power that may outstrip what other playbooks can do, but it also is uncontrollable and alienating. So that playbook is about collateral damage. It's about navigating complex relationships and navigating potentially toxic relationships. Next is the Found. The Found is a character who is a psychic monster who can read hearts and minds, but they don't know their own past. They've lost that. Their power is about emotions, about inquiring into things. It's about the kind of the weirdness and strangeness. They have intimate knowledge of others, but there's that danger in knowing what others know and kind of knowing what you believe is best for other people. That kind of emotionally intuitive, but maybe a little bit overbearing potentially. There are a lot of ways that can go. The Shade is a cerebral monster, as the book says, who's defied death and oblivion. Their power is ephemeral. It's about enlightenment and thought. They have a relationship with death, and that helps define who they are and what they're like. And they're also about like paying a price for knowledge and figuring out how to manage that. The last is a lonely monster. They are the last of their kind. In the earlier game, our last is the last giant. All the other giants are gone. They are the last of them. In another game, the last was the last survivor from an alien world that had been broadcast here, and they were essentially made up of a radio transmission. There are all different ways, all kinds of loss that they can be. They are about reflection, about memory, about sorrow, and maybe about hope as well, hope for what might come. Their themes revolve around the ideas of grief, the trauma of loss, and the fear of the kinds of things that cost them the rest of their peoples repeating again. The fallen is our character who was once a divine being of some kind. They have fallen from whatever position of grace, whether it be mythic, whether it be divine, whether it be something else entirely. Their power is intoxicating, it's damaged and deceitful. They are the charmer. Their themes are about hubris, about the double-edged sword of being worshipped, and also about a slightly destructive desire to regain what they've lost. And then lastly, we have our hungry. Our hungry is the ravenous monster. They are driven by their particular hunger. Their power is very intimate. It's transformative and harrowing. They are the characters that revolve more about body horror and corruptive nature in the feeding and what they do to others when they feed and what drives them to feed. And also that desperate yearning for emotional closeness. So those are the 7 that we have out there. So that's our subject matter. We are using a layered set of safety tools. I've already mentioned the green, yellow, red. I'll come back to that in a second. We're going to talk about that. That's kind of a baseline for calibrating. The next set of safety tools that we use is the X card. I know you're all familiar with this, but again, the X card should be used for material that you find objectionable, that you find problematic, that you find wildly off tone, and should be used if maybe once we've set some limits, establish some yellow or red type subject matters, if we start to lean into that, maybe we don't realize it, it's a good chance to use the X card to calibrate us, to have a stop, pause, and reset. The X card can also be used if you find particular play styles intrusive, maybe to stop and say, hey, we need to recalibrate on how we're interacting with one another. X card is a good place to break and do that. If you X card material, topic, subject, ideas, things like that, you never have to defend your decision. You don't have to explain yourself. The only question you might ask is exactly where we need to go back to reset, to cut. You are welcome to explain yourself, but you don't have to, and you should never feel forced to defend your choices in that. There shouldn't be pushback on the use of safety tools. I think that's really, really important. The last thing I want to mention about the X card is if something happens and the first couple of times you're cool with it, but then at some point you're not, you always have the chance to X card something. It never like passes by. And then, of course, we also have the open door policy, which means that if you need to step away for whatever reason, you're welcome to do that. You can do that, in a session. If you do it for emotional or physical reasons or deliveries, any of that, if you need to go away for the rest of the session, that is fine. You don't have to explain yourself. It'd be great if you could tell us if you're going to be back or not, but again, that's not required. That also means that if we get to, at some point later, that you're like, this is not the game I thought it was going to be, or this is not a game I'm enjoying, or I'm not in the right headspace for this game, it is absolutely legit to drop between sessions, and don't have to defend your choices, don't have to explain yourself. Should never play in a game for any length of time that you are not enjoying. Your lives are too short for that. There are too many other good games out there or things to do that you could be doing. So that's all in play. So I want to turn back to our keeper here, and I want to point us to the safety first tab. And I want to give you just a couple of more minutes to take a look there and see if there's anything else you want to add to the green, particular things, the themes you definitely want to see. Yellow, not as interested in it, want to elide it, or red, definitely don't want to see. So I'm going to be quiet here for a couple minutes, and then we're going to talk about those things. So on our red, the theme, stories, and ideas, we definitely don't want to see at all in the course of play. And again, this is a living document, meaning that if at some point you're like, oh, we kind of touched on this theme of slavery or whatever, and you're really uncomfortable with that being talked about or dealt with at the table, we can add that to that. So nothing is locked out when we're done with this. So we have sexual assault, harm to domestic animals, harm to children, homophobia, transphobia, dental trauma, and torture by the PCs. Those are things that were definitely not on the table. I want to thank whoever put dental trauma on there, because I always forget to do that and then I regret it later. For things that we have kind of, if we have them, they'll be elided off screen. We have torture by the bad guys or mentioned, will be definitely off screen, not presented in detail. And also gore will definitely try to not go overboard on that. And that is also a good place. Like if we find that as a GM, I'm getting too gory in my description, feel free to X card me on that. I will not have any regret, but I will try and keep that in mind about our limits on that. And then themes that we want to have. Pulpy action. I think that's good. Self-destructive behavior. I love it. Yeah, can lean to that. Self-doubt. Cosmic level battles. Putting the consequences of our action on screen. Weird shit. Definitely. There are some of these mysteries that are tremendously strange. There's one that's particularly informed by the video game Control that I want to put in there. Character emotional growth. We'll definitely try to have some time between mysteries for the characters to talk to one another, or have breaks in the mysteries themselves talk. And PC melodrama. This is also a good signpost, a guidepost for you when you're thinking about your characters. Is why I wanted to kind of really talk about this before we moved into the character creation process, to that set of choices here. Any questions about anything that I've said so far?
Can I just ask? This is
Yeah.
So this involves torture by PCs. I don't want to torture anyone as a character. I just want to throw that out there. Not something I'm interested in doing.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the playbooks I'm looking at is the Hungry,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which involves feeding on people
Right.
and both causing them pain and potentially that being something that's pleasurable for the playbook. I'm not particularly interested in describing a lot of that in great detail, but it does. I want to know where that sort of
Okay.
fits within the bound. Because if that's torture, then I'll just chuck that. I won't play the Hungry and we'll leave it alone. But I want to sort of see where people are with that, because it does feel like it's core to the playbook in a way.
Yeah. For me, it's very much about institutional systems of torture, where it's a formal thing being done by institutional figures with a purpose. And PCs doing that with causing pain deliberately for the purposes of gathering information
Okay.
in that kind of very directed way, where that's for me is kind of the limit. Does that seem to fit? Does that work with what you're imagining there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I have no interest in doing that at all.
Okay. Yeah.
But I just wanted to make sure that people were comfortable, because it does go some places that can be uncomfortable. That's on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I think. And I just want to make sure that we're not crossing anybody's lines or going into the red, like with the character concept right away.
Right. Right.
I could do something else.
No. I think that's a good question. I think now that we've kind of signposted that, for when things come up, we can have conversations
Yeah,
about that.
and if I do go in that direction and we end up doing that at X card, just
Yeah.
feel very comfortable.
And we can modify things as we need to if it finds that something isn't exactly going how we would like it to. So
I have a follow-up, which is this. I was
sure.
thinking about the summoned playbook, and
Hmm.
that is a violent character. And so just as in terms of navigating the gore, I'm presuming that just don't get carried away describing things.
That would be the thing, yeah, like over
Okay.
the top descriptions
All right.
of gore. Uh, so let's talk about those playbooks now. It sounds like some people may have some ideas about what they want to do. I'm going to ask people sort of in the order they arrived here to see what you think. Kat sounded like you're looking at the summoned. Are you kind of want to go with that?
That is what I'd like to go with. I've got a summoned character kind of worked out. If nobody else wants that playbook.
Okay, so we've got summoned on the table. Let's put that there. Stephen, do you have a playbook you're looking at, or a couple of playbooks you're looking at?
I was looking at the shade, and I've also been looking at the last. I think the shade is where I'm leaning right now.
Okay, let me put those notes down. Jose, what about you?
I was leaning towards the found,
Okay.
and nobody else mentioned it. So
Okay. So summoned, shader last, found, and then Jesse, you were looking at the hungry, I think.
Yeah, either the hungry or the last, and I'm at this point, I think I'm leaning more towards the hungry, so
Okay.
that works.
Uh so Stephen, shade or last?
Um, Look. Let me look through the playbooks a little
Okay.
bit, and then, yeah.
There are a couple that I can hide the tabs on, though. So that always makes me happy because there are a lot of tabs in this. Let me talk about what you're going to do now. Now that you've got your playbook chosen, you're going to go through. There are drop downs. There are things that you're going to be choosing there. Your name, physical description, origin, the kinds of powers of darkness, how you became. Go through and look through. There's a set of choices. Most of those are in that first column. Uh, uh, you'll then you're going to start possibly with one or two playbook moves, and then you're going to choose another one, and then you can choose either a ruin move and those are present in your playbook, which kind of is about your character already having kind of gone down the line of self-destruction. Alternately, you can choose a division move, and those are on the furthest over tab. We have all of those division moves. These are resources, things that you have from division itself. You'll choose either a ruin or a division move. Once you've done that, I'll have everybody introduce themselves and their characters so we can establish names, we can establish pronouns, and then kind of walk through, and I'll ask some leading questions at that point. Once we've got everybody established and introduced, then we'll go through and do those bonds questions. So I am now going to shut up and I'm going to hide some tabs. And if you have questions, go ahead and shout out. I'm also going to pause the recording, something I didn't do earlier today. I always forget to do this during session 0, but I'm going to pause it so people don't have to sit here if they're actually listening to this and hear the silence. So here we go. So we're doing character introductions, and then we're going to move to bonds. So I'm sorry I interrupted you there.
No, that's totally fine. So I am a summoned being. My character's name is Vane, Vane. They are they pronouns. They wear a kind of dark, very dark purple trench coat that hides most of their monstrous form, and around their neck an empty and tarnished locket, while above are eyes of brightest gold. Vane was summoned from hell to be the final door to the apocalypse. And the prophecy that haunts them is that when they fall in love for the last time, an ancient door of power will open in my heart and destroy the world. The powers of darkness are supernatural resistance and weapons from elsewhere. The darkness demands both that I fall in love with an harbinger of the apocalypse and despair as an immortal.
So
Do you
what
wanna-
what are these
Okay.
weapons from elsewhere?
It's a giant scythe,
Okay.
and it's like cartoonishly, like almost kind of like it looks too unlikely big. It is too
Okay.
big to really look like it is useful, but it is. It's very powerful.
Is it made of metal, some other material,
It
darkness
is a
itself?
shaft of black wood and then a tarnished silver blade.
Who summoned you?
It was a cult,
Okay.
a Midwestern cult.
A Midwestern satanic cult.
Yes.
And like, were you what they expected?
No,
Okay.
no,
So what was it?
no.
What did they want? And what did they get?
They expected something kind of like immensely evil and very solemn and deadly, and instead they got this sort of wisecracking, not particularly emotionally stable person. And so a lot of my existence is actually spent dealing with this cult, which likes to express its disappointment.
And how long have you been in this world?
About 7 years.
7 years. What is immortal? He mentions the thing to despair as an immortal. That's what the darkness demands of you. What is immortality for you? I mean, and are you? Do you call yourself a demon? Do you call yourself a devil? Or are you something else?
Yeah, I was around in hell for, I don't know, had to be eons. I don't know how long. I just always was.
Uh, when you fall in love for the last time, says there on the prophecy, that implies that your character falls in love several times. Is that like a common thing
Oh
for you?
yeah,
Is that a thing you resist? Okay.
just rocketing from one relationship to another.
Okay.
Still trying to get this whole like human thing down.
Had you been summoned before this? Is this or is
No,
this the first time? Okay, so this is a
no,
completely new.
totally new.
Okay. All right. I think that gives us a great set of things. Taking a look at the things that generate tokens for you. If you feel unloved or abandoned, you gain them when you overreact with violence. When you ask somebody to give you your best shot and not hold back. When you ask somebody to love you and only you, and then of course when you embody conditions. What did you take for your moves?
I have to take sometimes I get angry,
Okay.
and then I also took heavy is the crown.
And what does that one do?
That is a ruin move that basically look it up. It's I can say to Harbinger, it's basically you may always declare a Harbinger knows you and the terrible prophecy that awaits you. Describe what part they play in your prophecy.
Okay. And so you have your starting move, you have that ruin move, and then you get one more playbook move.
Oh, I get one more playbook.
Yeah.
Okay, I had one marked in case that was the case, and that is come on, tough guy.
And what does that one do?
That is when you go up against an opponent that is colossal and otherworldly, tell everyone what you say or do to taunt them and get their attention on you.
Okay. Awesome. I think that gives you a very strong picture of your character. We will come back to you and look at those bond questions. The two of them are for other PCs, and one of them is about your relationship to the darkness itself.
Excellent.
Let us come to our found character now. Jose, right?
Yep, that's
Okay.
me. Okay, hey, my name's Jose, and my pronouns are he and him. And I'm playing Cetus, and his pronouns are he and him too. I named him after the sea monster in Greek myth that's sent to devour Andromeda, I believe, and gets turned into stone, I believe, by Perseus and the Gorgon's head.
Hmm.
Anyways, that's the name that reminds me of the mystery that birthed me. My look is that I have scars from a time I can't remember. They look like kind of like hairline fractures along my skin, as if I were made of marble. And I smell of incense and flowers, and I have a hypnotizing aura. And my origin is that I was found standing petrified at the heart of a vast forest deep in the dreams of an ancient god. And what's replaced most of my memories, because I do not remember most of what happened before I was found, is a shivering sense of loss and a yawning abyss of nothingness. My powers of darkness are telepathy and mind blasts and power absorption, which I assume means absorbing the power of other monsters, I assume. What does the darkness demand of me? It's to open a portal, a permanent portal to a dark realm, and to meet my cruel maker. And I believe those two are somehow connected. Shall I continue to my moves, or do you?
Let me ask you a couple of questions here.
Sure.
So this petrified in the forest of an ancient god, do you know who that god is? Like, is that something, or is that something you don't know?
No, I guess I should know who that god was. So I'm thinking, I don't have a name for them,
Mhm.
but I'm thinking it's really old god, like from a kind of a prehistoric time, that there are no records of this god.
Okay.
And so some kind of um, uh,
Primeval kind of
yeah, like a
okay.
primeval, like a tribal god of a tribe that no longer exists, that just they were wiped out, and so the god went to sleep without any worshippers, and somehow I ended up, turned to stone in the depths of the dreams, as if I'd been stashed there.
Mm.
Uh, um, uh, uh, for safekeeping, like put someone in a very lost place where no one will ever find them.
Okay. And who found you?
Oh, that's one of my bond questions.
Oh,
But
okay. All right. So yeah, let's put
yeah,
a note in that, how and we'll kind of figure out from there like how long
yeah,
ago that was.
yeah.
Uh so the darkness wants you to meet your cruel maker. Do you have any sense who your cruel maker is?
I don't think I remember.
Okay. That's
I
that's
have this impulse
a
to go to my source, or when I'm feeling shitty and ruinous, I have this impulse to find my source. And when I'm feeling more human, I think I have an impulse to inquire. I'm inquisitive, and so I want to know about the world. So I go outward when I'm feeling more human, and when I'm feeling more monstrous and the darkness is taking over me, there's something that pulls me back to my past.
What is your telepathy like? Is it just you kind of passively taking things in, or is it a focused concentration to draw? Like, how do you imagine that?
I imagine it kind of absorptive, like sponge-like, and not always within my control, and getting out of my control quite a bit. This want, I don't want to turn it into a hunger like Jesse's character,
Uh-huh.
but there is a sense of kind of almost like I'm uh, 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 start becoming like a vortex, or
Okay.
a sucking in, a loud sucking noise starts
Okay.
happening as I start absorbing memories and experiences from other people. And so it feels like it probably behaves on a lot of unconscious levels as well. So it's less kind of, oh, I can reading the surface thoughts, though I assume he can do that as well.
Hmm.
More like, uh, taking on your childhood trauma kind of stuff.
This smell of incense and flowers, is it a distinct smell, or does it change? Is it strong? Is it pungent? Does it shift? What do you imagine that?
I think it must change.
Okay.
But I do think it's like, so this ancient forest that he was found in. So I imagine the smell of cedar, and I imagine a kind of a really earthy, pungent, almost rotting kind
Mm,
of rotting vegetation kind of smell that often comes from me. Not necessarily unpleasant, but
oh, okay.
depending on who you are.
Tell us about the moves that you have.
Okay, I have a starting move, which is basically a telepathy move. You can't hide your heart from me. It says you're sensitive to the surface thoughts and strongest feelings of those around you. And then I can deepen and try to make deeper contact with the wishes and the fears and the loves of someone. But I can get carried away, obviously.
Okay. Okay. And one of the things we'll assume with telepathy is that you can be in contact with your other players. I mean, you can speak to one another mentally over a distance. So that's always something that's in play for you. And what did you take for your moves?
Then I took a standard move called a Man of a Thousand Faces. So this is kind of I've learned how to reflect the thoughts and memories of others to help them see what they wish to see. So I can let my form go, and it fluctuates and takes on the face of another. And what that other is either is drawn from the minds of other people.
Okay.
And so I can embody something they fear or something that they won't notice, or things like that. So I can let my shape go a bit
I like that.
and reform it.
And did you take a ruin move or a division move?
I took a ruin move. Let's see
Okay.
which one. I was really hemming and hawing about all of these.
I know there's some great stuff in there.
There's some great stuff in here. So I didn't take the Doom Clock. I decided instead to go with Crowned by Dream, Exalted by Nightmare. So I've learned to harness dreams and create great and terrible weapons from them. And when I take dreams, okay, and there's different kinds of weapons:
Oh,
physical
okay.
weapons, emotional weapons, pure nightmares, which apparently have a will of their own and might go off and do stuff, naughty stuff
Oh,
later.
that's a great move. That's really awesome.
So some of those weapons I could give to my compatriots, and some are more personal.
Okay. All right. I think that gives us a pretty strong sense of who you are. We'll come back to you to talk about bonds in a bit. Also, feel free to hide once you've kind of got your character set, hide the move tab, since they are on your sheet if you want, so that they're kind of out of the way. Rae has them there as a reference that are a little bit easier to read, but you can hide those then. I believe that brings us to the shade.
Hi, my name is Stephen. My pronouns are he, him. And the shade that I've created is named Samson, whose pronouns are also he, him. Samson, the name Samson reminds me of the mortal life that I once knew. My look is a vaporous body contained in a suit, something that hints at how I try to best be human, and a face that looks unreal. My origin is I have no memory of my previous life. I think I have little memory of my previous life, and have a radioactive body with a limited half-life. I think my body's deteriorating. It's not literally radioactive. It's
Okay.
just, decaying somewhat. Let's see. What form does death take to speak to you? They freeze time and possess someone near me, speaking through them. At the start of every session, choose something for XP. Did you go too far in the search of the truth? My powers of darkness are let the dead speak and supernatural strength and speed. The darkness demands to break the veil between the living and the dead and to reinvigorate an ancestral curse.
What is it? Is that an ancestral curse from your line, or do you think it's something from outside your line?
I think it's something from outside my line. I think it has to do with a line that has died out. So that's since I can speak with the dead, I think that's how they're the darkness. Is that right? Yes, the
Mhm.
darkness. I think that's how the darkness is gaining the information that they need in order to reinvigorate this curse, is trying to figure out from the dead what needs to be done.
What do you think you're made of? Like, are you solid? Are you ephemeral? Are you made of ectoplasm? Are you flesh? Are you some kind of golem? What do you think?
So I think I'm flesh, but the body itself has hardened, um, meaning it doesn't feel like flesh, probably like a tough rubber or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but you certainly don't look like a normal corpse. The body has changed. Is it like what what do you think? What do you imagine happened to you? Do you have no idea? Do you have some suspicions? Are there any signs or portents?
Um, so I think that something happened. So my head is basically a skull, and I think something happened during my death that caused the upper portion of my body, like from the neck up, to be destroyed or to be uh damaged in such a way that I think I just saw bright lights.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as far as what exactly happened, maybe we could find that out during
Yeah,
play. I
yeah.
don't have a specific idea. Yeah.
And the vaporous body, is there something there that's kind of keeping that top part of your body? Is that what's vapor?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's
Okay.
kind of like smoke.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it got sort of the physical body, and then there's kind of this smoke top that you've got something containing. Under your look, it also says something that hints at how I try my best to be human. What do you think that means?
I think it's the fact that I still have a body.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that there's a struggle within me to maintain that coherent body of what I used to be. And I think that my body itself is bloated
Mm-hmm.
and tough, not like I not like a human body used to be, but I'm trying to hold it together as much as possible.
Uh, did death appear to you like when you were reborn, or do you think it that happened later? How often does that happen, do you imagine?
So I think so death appeared to me whenever I died, and I didn't know what that was. I just knew suddenly everything stopped and I was blinded, and one of the people I was with spoke to me in their voice, but said things that, you know, uh, basically made a bargain and said, you will now service me. You must break the veil between the living and the dead, and kind of gave me those directions. But I didn't really recognize what it was until I saw someone else die. And I think at the death of anyone that I've been with, um, then that's whenever I see the death again. Yeah.
But uh, when you speak to the dead, is that, I mean, do you talk and they answer out loud so that others can hear it, or do you think it's you communing with them? What do you think that looks like?
So I think typically they speak to me um incessantly, and it's hard to get them to stop. However, I think with some focus or effort, those voices can be heard by others, and those voices sound spooky, sound ephemeral. They're very
Mm-hmm.
difficult to kind of make out exactly what they're saying.
Do you think that is death itself the darkness that's driving you, or is death there and then there's something else that is the darkness?
Um, it's either death that's driving me or the darkness speaking through death.
Okay.
My only interface is through death. Yeah.
All right. All right. What moves did you take?
So my starting move is Death walked here. Um, whenever you seek to reconstruct events or learn something, spend some darkness tokens and roll. Undeath shows me what happened and gives me a glimpse of events and things like that. So that's the starting move. The other shade move I took was Soul Like a Steel Trap, which is when you study a tense situation, you can spend tokens and roll, and Division's files might have told me something, or I perceive a weakness or something along those lines. I looked through some of the rune moves. They're all delicious, and I also looked through some of the Division moves, and there was one that stood out to me, which is Ghostly Agent.
Okay.
The Division has a high mortality rate. The average agent survives only a few months on the job. Some of them love the work so much they continue to work for the Division even in death. When you take this move, answer at least one of the following questions. Why do you mean so much to the ghostly agent? What strange, mysterious belief death befell them? What unfinished business do you try to attend to for them?
Yeah, so
And
who are you
then-
imagining for this? Like,
So
what
I don't
kind of?
really have answers to those questions, so I'll think of that on the fly. But I
Yeah.
think you roll and it says you can travel physically through the veil appearing somewhere else, or you can uncover a key at great cost, or whisper in their ear and reveal a secret. Those are the kind of things that the move lets you do.
Yeah. So let's have, but we'll put that, and you can figure out who that is. We'll kind of think about who that is in the NPC. Maybe when we talk about Division later, or maybe next session. So chew
the
on that.
question
Yeah.
of those that stands out to me is, what unfinished business do you try to attend for them? So
yeah,
okay.
I mean, there's some great stuff there. Yeah, and that's a good choice.
Thank you.
All right, I think that gives us a good sense of who you are. So we're going to come back to you to talk about bonds in a moment. Jesse, tell us about your character.
Sure. So I am the hungry. There is an endless hungry that ravages my body. I embody the menace and emptiness of the apocalypse. My power is intimate, transformative, and harrowing. My heart yearns to consume and be consumed. So I'm Jesse. My pronouns are he and him. I named my character is named Beelzebub. They, them, in medieval Christianity, and later Beelzebub becomes the demon of gluttony. So, fun game there, and I'll talk a little bit in a second. It's the name I carved out from history. My look is evidence of the wild beast that hides and strains again. A scar from the one who loved me most, and a shattered collar I will never take off. The image I've chosen here is Jack Kirby's Etrigan.
Okay.
The demon I'm not going to talk in rhyme. And there's another Jack Kirby influence here I'll get to in a second, but
okay.
I think I mostly look human, but this sort of demonic form like lives under my skin. And I have a bunch of moves about how I physically change, and I think when that happens, like literally, not necessarily this form, because there can be different things, but like it's bursting out from under my skin. There's like a little body horror there.
Okay.
Like it's not just sort of like CGI meld, right?
All right.
So my origin is I was driven by hubris and sorrow and consumed more arcane power than I could hope to control. I think my deal is the sort of the overall concept of this was when I was in 6th grade. We had to do a project on the Greek gods, and my friend Emily created a Greek god of hunger. He was like a chef. I don't remember much, but she had this line that has been haunting me for nearly 30 years now, right? What she described him that his eyes were deeper than his stomach, and his stomach was a bottomless pit. And then I read a lot of comic books, like, oh, that's Galactus. And I think sort of my like background, like I was this ancient space traveling world eater. Before that, I might have been a person. But over time, I would just like consumed more and more power, and I became this creature. to try and control more and more through consuming it. Right. This greed and hunger for power. And sadness. There's a lover in there somewhere. I don't know who they are or what their deal was, but I think there was some loss. There's like a bunch of toxic masculinity, like I think hiding behind this character.
Okay.
At least in their past.
But is the idea that you're here now because at some point you did consume more than you could control, and that has
I've become diminished.
Okay.
Right. I've become diminished. Still a lot of power and like, I think this happened hundreds of years ago, right?
Mhm.
Like, millennia traveling the galaxy, eating worlds, a lifetime before that, building up the power to become the creature that does that. Right. And then now for the past several hundred years, some powerful monster, an Omen class monster living on Earth. Right. My name is a name I carved out from history. I don't think I originated the name Beelzebub, but it was given to me from that by people who like, oh, there's this creature that just eats and eats and eats, consumes us and who we are and what we are. And I feed on desire and hope and leave behind an uncontrollable addiction to pleasure or pain. So I do think that there's the way I feed on desire and hope does involve something physical. I don't know that it necessarily involves consuming flesh, although I think sometimes it can. But there's definitely like a physical contact is required, right?
So it is a vampire's grip rather than simply drawing out the spiritual energy in the air.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I don't know that like eating something physical is necessary. But it can be a part of it, and certainly, like I said, there's definitely at the very least contact. There's leaving behind the uncontrollable addiction to pleasure and pain. I think
let me ask you this:
in the process, pleasure or pain is caused.
Okay, so and so it varies as to what the addiction is that someone might walk away from that.
And I think it depends on how I fed.
Okay.
Perhaps I don't know. Some of these ideas are very
sure
kind of still loose. We'll see what starts to make sense in play. The powers I chose are corrupting touch and transfiguration through pain. And I think a lot of this, right, for like this is a character with a lot of sorrow and pain who's externalizing it, right? Who's inflicting it on other people, because that's how he deals with it very badly. Not a good person.
Do you mention that transfiguration is of others or of yourself?
I think probably both.
Okay.
I'm never quite sure what transfiguration means, like as opposed to just transformation. Right? Like, is it just a fancy word for changing shapes, or is there something else there?
I always imagine that you're changing some essential nature of the person. Enlightenment is transfiguration. That there's a little bit beyond the physical involved in that.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to uncheck that because I think that leads too uncomfortably towards torture, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just making people hurt so that they change.
Sure.
So let us change it to haunting aura instead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll in play we'll figure out what that corrupting touch and that aura looks like.
Absolutely.
What does the darkness demand?
The darkness demands of me to consume what lies beyond doom's door, right? That endless hunger for everything everywhere, and to destroy the good in those I love and care for, as once it was destroyed in me.
And you mentioned a lover. You've got a scar from that lover. Do you know what that is yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think the scar is something that's there no matter, no matter what kind of, however I manifest. And let's be as literal as possible, right?
Sure.
It's just a big long scar right across my chest where my heart got ripped out.
Okay. This collar is that from before you changed into this, or is it something more recent?
So I think it was just I think I think I've only started. I think it didn't used to be shattered. I think it was a
Okay.
collar that I wore. And this might be actually like the purple Galactus
Okay.
thing there, right? That I wore, that was part of that look of the World Eater. But as I lost my as that level of power faded, the collar shattered. And I wear it to remind myself of what I used to be, and maybe what I could be again, or maybe
Okay.
of my sins, maybe of the crimes I committed. Like, I think
Yeah.
it's all very confused, what I'm trying to remember here.
Is this lover from your time as a cosmic entity, or is it from your time here on Earth?
I think it's before. I think it's before I was a cosmic entity.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I think it's sort of that loss is the thing that pushed me, to into like this is kind of like a reformed supervillain character,
Okay.
right? So this is
Yeah.
like a very classic tropey supervillain origin. Um uh yeah.
Tell me about the moves that you chose. What you
Yeah.
have is your starting move, and then what do you have as the ones you've picked?
Yeah. So my starting move is the gnawing edge of hunger. When you surrender to the hunger within you, describe how your body transforms and what you feed on. If I hit that perfect middle range, I can heal some stuff. I only take as much as I need, and I can heal, or I could or get some bonds. Good stuff there. If I go too much, I can hurt somebody or get a bond with the darkness demands of me, or it could get real bad if I fail. And then I took the move I took was, do harbingers dream of monsters like me? um, so over the years, I've acquired a taste of power that only a harbinger can wield. I think we talked about that. I love how this is written. I'm sorry. Under your skin, carved into your bone, burrowing into your flesh, is what remains of the harbingers you have consumed. When you tear away your skin to reveal what remains of a slumbering harbinger, spend darkness tokens and roll. And then basically I can manifest powers that are of harbingers I once consumed.
Nice.
Uh,
And then you took that ruin move,
I
right?
took the Doomclock rune move,
Okay.
because apparently when I play with you probably don't remember this was years and years ago. I play Jack Kirby influenced doomed characters. I did that once in a Masks game. Yeah. You and the hunger know each other intimately. The hunger has broken and remade you again and again, leaving behind your insides changed and yearning. You know the hunger is reshaping you to fulfill its greatest desire. And I get that doomsday clock. Whenever I'm about to hit my breaking point, I can give in and feed on myself, and then I can tick the clock instead. Every time I do this, I rewrite the nature of what I feed on and what I leave behind.
Oh, wow.
I clear all of my conditions, and I create the maximum number of hunger conditions, reflecting my growing despair. Hunger conditions are just conditions related to my hunger, right? There's like additional conditions I can take that help.
Yeah. They are there. They give you more conditions and when you have all your conditions marked, that's when things go bad.
Yep. But I can stop them from going bad 4 times. And then they get real bad.
Yeah. That sounds awesome. That gives us a great sense of who you are. We're going to come back and talk about your bond questions. We're going to take our break here. We're going to take 10. We'll come back, and then we'll go around and we'll do one round of bonds and then another, and then we'll talk about the darkness there. So take 10. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through and do our bonds. Everybody has 3 bonds questions. 2 of them are facing towards other PCs. And then the third one is maybe we'll have a little question about like talking about the darkness and your relationship to it again. As with any of these things, if you have an idea about who might fit for a particular bond question, you can suggest that, or you can throw it out to the table. If you suggest something, we'll check in with the other player and see if they are cool with that. And we can talk and negotiate about what that looks like. So let's start with Vane. Which of your 2 bond questions do you want to start with?
Well, let's start with this one. You were there when I was summoned. What makes you afraid of me? And I'm just going to throw that out if anybody can think of a reason why they might have been at the summoning of.
And he said that was about 7 years ago?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody want to take that one?
I'm certainly open to it.
Okay.
I think. Look, I think it's entirely possible. I forget. I apologize if you said that. Do you remember who summoned you? Do we know who summoned you?
It was a Midwestern satanic cult.
Oh, yeah. So I think they thought I was a demon too.
Okay.
Right? Like a lot of
Perfect.
people, I have this history of I'm not, right, but I have this look, and I have this, and I was playing this kind of game with them, or maybe I was already an agent of division and I'd infiltrated
Okay.
the cult.
Okay.
I like that a
Oh,
little
I
bit
like that.
better, actually. Right, so I'm already an agent of division, and I sort of infiltrated the cult on the guise of, well, I'm demonic, and so I was present when you were summoned.
Okay.
And what makes you be afraid of you? You're terrifying. What do you like? I don't even understand the premise of the question. You're like big and you can murder anything, anywhere, at any time.
Yeah.
I was a little hungry also, but also scared.
All right. All right. I like this. Okay, that works for me.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So you will write in then Beelzebub with 1 bond on your character.
Got it.
That brings us next to Cetus.
All right, that's me. Let's see, what questions do I have here? You were there when I was found. Why do you either pity or admire me?
How long ago were you found?
I think I was found recently.
Okay.
Let's say a few months ago. I think I'm the youngster on the. Well, I'm not young because I'm ancient, but I don't remember anything from that. I remember, so I'm kind of new to the world. Kind of, I'm new to the team, new to division. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
So let's say a few months ago, and I'm open to anyone who wants to say why they might have been traipsing around the dream of an ancient god.
In a forested area, dream of an ancient god.
Or maybe it was a mission to get me.
That's what that seems like. That would have been a good division member thing. So if Beelzebub recruited me or was in on my recruitment, then why doesn't Vane be in on Cetus's recruitment? Does that make sense?
So like division and Aromancers like said, hey, there's something going on in this
Ancient.
Dream space here.
Yeah.
Had to go through unknown Kadath and make your way
Like
there.
what the fuck is this big statue? Oh, holy shit, it's moving.
So why do you pity or admire Cetus?
Oh, I pity him. I mean, like he doesn't know who he is. He just like he doesn't even know like why somebody made him or any of this stuff. It's got to be just a terrible existence. I'm very sad.
I like it. You good with that, Cetus?
I'm great with that. Thanks,
awesome. Let's now come to Samson.
So, my first one is, you were there when I died. How did witnessing my death transform our relationship? So I have an idea for that. Cetus, how about, are you okay with that being you?
Sure.
And I don't think you were physically there. Did you just access my memories or something like that?
Ah.
Oh,
Okay, so you
that's
died a while,
great.
right? So I somehow tell me again. You died a
I'm
while.
not sure how I died. There was a big flash of light. Something happened in my face.
Right.
Um, I don't really know what that was, but I think you do because you've accessed memories I'm not aware of.
I've access to your memories. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Awesome.
How has that affected your relationship to this figure, Cetus? Once you met them, and then at some point you read their death.
Right. So I think the first thing that comes up to me is like a lot of compassion for Samson. That somehow in experiencing the moment of his death, Cetus has felt really connected to Samson in a way he hasn't felt connected to other people, because something about the intimacy of death,
Mm.
that moment that normally happens alone, that he actually got to share with Samson.
And death is probably, it's not something you've experienced before. It's
Exactly.
alien to you. Okay. Nice. I like that. Uh, that brings us to Beelzebub.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. So I'm not sure about this. Let's try this one first. Your heart wishes to consume me. Why do we bring out the worst in each other? The worst in me is pretty bad. I think the best is pretty good, but the worst is pretty bad.
Anyone interested in that?
I think Samson can do that. Whenever you give into your hunger, Beelzebub, do you kill?
I don't have to. I can. I generally, like, I used to murder entire planets, right? I think though this is sort of the I can lose control of the hunger completely, in which case, that could go badly. But I don't have to if I'm in control.
Um,
I
I was just gonna say, the question there is why do we bring out the worst in each other? I think the worst I feel towards you is, I think, you sometimes kill, and I see death come for those that
well,
you've killed.
I think the question is a little bit different. Like, why does being around me make you your worst self?
Yeah, I think it makes me angry to see you do that to others.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And then why do you bring out the worst in me?
Is it
You're so fucking patronizing.
okay? A
Perfect.
little back and forth about the morality and death there.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like I want to say, like this is not a character who at this point is like murdering tons of people for fun, right? But it's the risk is there. Um, yeah, Samson with or without a P, with a P.
That brings us back to Vane. Vane, what is your other bond
My
question
other
line?
one, I don't know what to do with it. So the question is, why can't you tell me that you love me?
Someone want to have that sort of like
Two bonds.
strong love but can't express it for Vane? Doesn't necessarily have to be romantic love. It could be
Could be
platonic
platonic,
love, could be
could be
admiration, but you can't admit that.
sibling love.
I
I
could go.
think I think
Go.
that would dovetail into one of my bond into my second bond. So Why can't I tell you? Let me read my bond and see if
Okay.
that fits, and see if we can put the two of them together. Mine is I love you, but I can't accept it. Why won't you allow me to remain ignorant? And I think
Oh,
the reason I don't accept it is do you think you're at peace being in this world? Are you okay here, or do you
oh
learn
no,
you don't? Huh?
no.
Okay. So you yearn to go back where you came from.
That's it. That's it.
Do you have a path back home? Do you know how you're going to get home?
No clue.
Okay.
Not
Um,
even sure that I will get back.
let's see. I think so. So you are amorphous, correct? You're like an kind of an energy thing. Is that right?
No, I'm the character in the dark purple leather trench coat,
Oh, you okay?
humanoid shape, but a monstrous form underneath that underneath that trench coat.
Okay. But you have a monstrous form.
Mhm.
I think the reason I love you, but I can't accept it is because you're not human,
Okay, fair
but I
enough.
feel drawn to you. And I
Totally.
think let's go back and see if that dovetails into yours.
That works perfectly with why can't you tell me you love me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that works for me.
Perfect.
I'm marking that one down.
And then Samson, you want to do the other side on your thing as you were thinking?
Which is why
Or did you
won't
want to
you allow me to remain ignorant?
Right. Oh yeah, my character is going to be in your face.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
always confronting,
Yeah. Yeah.
my humanity and my lack of humanity. Yeah.
I love this. Okay,
okay.
excellent.
Then let's come to Cetus.
Okay. My second question is, you love me, but I don't understand love. Why won't you give up on me?
I mean, I'm willing to take that one if you're comfortable with it.
Sure.
This is gonna be, I think, like real kind of like visceral and physical, but I think it's because you smell good.
Ah,
And like,
can't give up on that smell, huh?
yeah, well, it's and obviously, look, you're like a creature of dreams in a lot of ways, and that's what I eat. Um, well, hopes and dreams is what I eat. I believe is what is I believe
And
what it.
Cetus changes in reaction to the people around them. So you have your memory. Certainly Cetus can't help but change to that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's like you smell like barbecue or anything. I just think you have this very like alluring smell to me, right? Um I just can't, there's something about it that I find attractive.
Mhm.
Um I'm not sure, like I if you're comfortable with this, I'd kind of like to leave like what that attraction actually is like up to
Yeah.
play and see sort of how it goes. But there's definitely, uh something like love there, right? That I just can't seem to shake. Because whenever you're nearby, it's like, oh, that's just so nice.
Does that work for you, Cetus?
That works for me.
Then I think that brings us back to Beelzebub. What is your
Yeah.
other bond question?
Other Bond question is, um, you knew me. You remember what I was like before my hunger claimed me. Why'd you wish to protect others from me? Um, and I mean, I'm open to a couple. Like, it's hard because before my hunger was a long time ago on another planet. But we have a bunch of long-lived folks here. One from another plane of existence, one who travels dreams and memory, and so I think there's like a lot of space for either Vane or Cetus if either of you are interested to sort of figure out how to have that happen.
Either one of you interested in that?
I can do that.
Yeah. Okay.
So what's
It
that?
certainly
Sorry, go ahead.
says something about the eternal nature of hell in the grand cosmic side of things. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if like contact with the demons of hell is part of how I ended up with this shape,
Yeah.
this monstrous form. If it's not
Oh,
just
I'm
what my
sure.
people look like. No, it's not because it comes from the hunger. Um, uh, so I mean, um, why do you wish to protect others from me? What do you think the deal? Like, how did we come in contact back then?
Well, didn't we have like we know that you were there at my summoning?
But that was only 7 years ago,
Oh,
not like 60,000 years
oh
ago.
yeah. Okay, okay.
But if we had earlier contact, even like that, I love that you being summoned, and it's like, hey, it's you.
It's you. Well, I think there could be a certain amount of competitiveness in terms of like demons try to get souls and the hunger tries to kind of feed on people. There might be
Yeah,
a kind of like, you're poaching, buddy.
yeah. And I wonder if maybe I love that. I wonder if that's like also like my early experiments were like, well, maybe the way to power is through demonic summoning and getting souls,
Yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
either I summoned you or another demon and you were there, or
Okay.
I fucked
Okay.
it up, and maybe that's why maybe that's why I was so scared,
That's it. We've known each
Nice.
other for a
right?
very
And
long
like it wasn't
time.
terrible, but it wasn't great either,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
I
I like
love
that.
that.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
there's this.
That's good.
So I'm like, I got to go to the other side. I got to go to the hunger. The demons,
Yeah.
the souls thing isn't going to work for me. And then there's the competition. And is that why you want to protect others from me? Because of
Yes.
just
Yeah, it's
pure
not really for their
competitiveness, no
sake.
morality?
Yeah, yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. Okay, Vane.
So Vane, the last question is why are you tempted to give in to what the darkness demands of you, to fall in love with the harbinger of the apocalypse, to despair's world? What is it that tempts you there?
Oh well, the despair is just this is a brutal, hard world, and I'm sort of a dour person by nature. That's why I wisecrack to sort of hide the pain and loneliness in my heart. Um, and boy, like who wouldn't be tempted to fall in love and know that it was that perfect last love, the love that was destined and yet the one that would destroy the world. I'm very torn about that.
What do you miss about hell?
I'm not going to say the first smart ass answer that came to mind at all. I'm gonna say just there's people down there that I miss. I miss
Oh,
my
okay.
friends down there.
Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
the people down up here don't have a good sense of humor.
all right, your community of like-minded peers that
And the
were there,
barbecue.
and the barbecue. uh and Cetus, why are you tempted to give in to what the darkness demands?
I think there's a way that Cetus is always on the edge of being overwhelmed by everything that he's absorbing in the new world, and he gets disoriented. And there's the idea of finding his creator and finding a purpose. Sometimes looks really attractive. Some kind of clarity of who he is, clarity of what he's supposed to be doing, clarity of of his own identity. Um, uh, and that's when he's not feeling inquisitive and absorptive and ready to take everything in. So there are two sides to him there. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. And what about for Samson? What is it that tempts you to give into what that darkness is asking for?
The darkness is asking for me to break the veil between the living and the dead, and what tempts me to give into that is that I'm lonely, and I think I'm looking back. I miss being human and being accepted among the land of the normal living people, but I'm tempted, if I could break the veil between the living and the dead and everyone was dead and everyone saw the dead, then I wouldn't be lonely anymore.
Nice, nice. And then what about for you, Beelzebub?
I mean, the short answer is that it's delicious.
Okay.
I think like the answer they give when with a little bit more introspection, in therapy, probably has something to do with like, well, gee, um, the good in me has been destroyed. I am horrible. I've done awful things. Let's bring everyone else down to my level. But also, it just tastes real good.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So, division has existed for a long time. Not entirely clear how long, but a long time. In various forms. There's always some version of division out there, and division has offices in many different places. Some of them are smaller satellite offices. Some of them are hubs. You work out of a particular hub that has, multiple agents and resources and things like that. Division is in like all over the world. There are some places it's not. If, for example, it's not allowed in England. That's one of the things. But your hub is in the U.S. Vane, where is your division's hub located? What city, what region?
Chicago.
Okay, located in Chicago. Cetus, this Chicago location, are you on the outskirts, like an old military facility? Are you in the underground of a museum? Do you have like a large downtown building that you have, or in a neighborhood? Like where is your division hub located here in Chicago?
I think you have to go into the Field Museum, and there's
Okay.
a secret doorway in the Field Museum that goes into an underground complex. So we're right on the in downtown and on the water's edge.
Okay. Yeah, we got all of that underground Chicago that was originally built and has been covered over, that division has access to underneath the Field Museum. Uh, Tell me, Samson, uh, what is the strangest thing about this division hub? Like, what's the unusual supernatural or magical element present there?
The pathway into the office itself is never the same. It
Okay.
always changes. And agents know how to get in. I think there's a literal thread. Like we enter a door and there's a thread always on the top corner. And we follow that thread and it takes us through, but it's never the same path. And sometimes we pass through darkness, sometimes we float. It's just really, really weird.
So you've got some kind of Deadlian maze that is there with the thread set up. Beelzebub, what's the most strikingly mundane feature of this place? What's the most like office drone or corporate or real world thing that is here in the hub?
The break room.
Okay.
It's like your real kind of like, there's like a sink and like this is set in the present day, right?
Yep.
There's like one of those Keurigs that doesn't like tap into the water, and you have to bring your own K-cups, right? They and there's cabinets with paper towels and paper goods. There's a fridge. and there's like, 3 chairs around a little table, right? It's just this very kind of like, there's a break room, but we don't really want you in here.
Okay. Yeah, the microwave that somebody made spaghetti in
Never
and they
cleaned,
never
and it's no
cleaned it.
one's job. And the staff, there's no staff to clean it, and none of the agent. There might be one agent who like begrudgingly cleans it occasionally.
Yeah, and it's weird where there is some kind of sanitation janitorial staff, but they seem occupied in other areas.
Yeah. Or they're just told, well, we don't want people using that microwave, so don't clean it.
uh Vane, within this particular hub, how are monstrous agents treated differently from the human agents? Is it are you treated better? Are you treated worse? Are you just treated differently? Like what's the distinction?
They put all these fucking rules on us, so we have to take care of these puny little humans.
So
And they're
lots of
just, I mean, it's the bureaucracy, like you happen to push into one and then you got to fill out paperwork just because they happen to break a bone, or there's like, and you just, I don't even get me started on the humans and their frailties.
See this like, are there a lot of Omen class monster agents, or are you unique there? And are there like lesser class agents there? What are they like? Like not humans, but not Omen class monsters.
I think maybe that we're not the only Omen class monsters in that office. Maybe there's another handful
Okay.
that come and go, just for to have that possibility. But we rarely run into each other.
Okay.
So we're frequently out on missions, unless we're working hand in hand with them. In terms of the there's other monsters, but they're working more management or admin positions. So there are some, depending upon their skills. So I can see some office clerk kind of monstrous people.
Okay.
There. So we're not completely surrounded by humans, although humans definitely outnumber us.
Do you imagine that you're like rivals with the other team of Omens, or do they avoid talking to you about the other Omen team, or are you just uncertain what they are? Like, what do you think that is?
Okay, so we're a team, the 4 of us, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're a team, the 4 of us, and I think the other 2 teams maybe have been together longer.
Okay.
They're just pairs. They're partners, and they've been kind of standoffish with us since we formed as a team, because we only recently formed. Well, I certainly only recently arrived, so our team, or maybe I just arrived at in the team that was already formed.
Okay.
I feel like those are older agents that have been in division long time and have never really warmed up to us. Maybe they see us as upstarts or prima donnas or something.
Okay. Samson, what is your favorite area of this division hub?
It's the break room that was described earlier,
Okay.
because I think there's a fridge there, and the human members of division come in and eat, and I think I feel so at ease just sitting in the corner watching them come in and do their normal thing.
I like that.
I think they're super creeped out by this.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
I think that goes without saying.
Yeah.
Beelzebub, what area of the hub, of your division hub, is off limits even to you?
So there's like something weird about the architecture of the field museum and of the hub, and the weird sort of Samson described, like the way you get in is through like all these spaces, and it's right. But there's this spot where it kind of overlaps, because it's like a courtyard that has access to the outside.
Mhm.
And you and you can see it through the windows at the Field Museum. And so we're not allowed there. And I've always suspected that space is like, or rather, that's why we're told we're not allowed there,
Okay.
right? And I've always kind of suspected that there's something else going on with that space. It's not just that like we can't have museum goers seeing agents like out the window.
I like that. So Vane, uh, you have quarters here in the hub and these places. What does that look like? And what is like when you get up, what's the first thing we see you like on screen doing?
So what does my room look like? Is
Yeah,
this
what does
the
your room look like? Like this, you're given space to live here. What does that look like? And what does it look like when you get up? What do you do?
For some reason, it is covered with kind of like 70s type psychedelia posters and stuff. It's just almost abysmally bright. And it's just like to the point where like you wake up and your eyes are just like assaulted by all these colors. And you see Vane just wakes up and hops out of bed and just sort of like makes their way through all the brightness and cheeriness, looking instantly for the thing of coffee that is there in the room.
Excellent. Do you have a Keurig? Do you have a nice coffee maker? Do you have
Oh,
a
I haven't.
little
No, I don't have that Keurig bullshit. That's another human thing. That's
Got the nice pour over, got a grinder there. Okay. I like that. Uh
That's very much that's the flavor of poster. It is a lot of kind of
lit.
what's the woman that did all the Trapper Keepers, and it's all like rainbow unicorn stuff.
Lisa
Oh,
Frank.
oh
That's it.
God.
It's at least that's a Lisa Frank room.
Nice. Uh Cetus, when you're not on a mission, when you're just kind of, you're in the day-to-day, what is like a mundane ritual of life here in the hub that you kind of look forward to, that is something that you embrace here?
Mundane ritual in the hub that I kind of embrace.
Yeah.
Um, for some reason, ritual. Whenever there's a birthday, um, uh, someone has the birthday at the Vision. Even if Cetus has never met them before, he's very intrigued by the whole birthday celebration and all the things that people are thinking during the birthday celebration. And so there's something about these office birthday celebrations that really pulls him in.
You check the office birthday calendar, with all the people there.
Make sure I'm around.
Yeah, make sure you're there. Head over. How do you think people, like, obviously people, I mean, to Samson and Beelzebub and Vane, people are like, they're terrifying, all three of them.
Right.
You are less terrifying. How do people react to you there?
I think they pretend like I'm just one of them.
Okay.
I can become inconspicuous when I want to be, and look like someone that they expect to be there, and that kind of happens naturally because I don't want them to be stymied or hidden or cut off from me if I want to like dip into their memories and dip into
Okay.
their feelings. And so I just look like the most bland office worker ever when I go to the birthday parties.
I like that. Samson, what went wrong on the last investigation that you four did?
Um, So remind me, we typically go out on investigations for harbingers, correct?
Yeah, you're sent out. Usually there's some sort of supernatural incident. The seers and the oracles and the researchers have believe that some phenomenon is occurring, and they send you there, and you go to try and stop this harbinger before it can bring about the apocalypse.
So I think that the last mission that the four of us went on was very messy, and it drew a lot of attention, like press.
Okay.
So I think that what happened was, and I think, to be honest, I blame it on the new kids, right? We got saddled with these new people who came in, and we're sort of training them, and I think that um it things just got sloppy. So I mean, there's all these pictures in the newspapers of, well, like in the Inquirer, right?
Okay.
But it's dangerous, right? You don't want all that. Yeah.
And who do you is it Vane and Cetus that are the new kids to you, or is it just Cetus?
I think that's so who I actually think of the new kids, if I'm not mistaken, Cetus has been here just a few months. Vane has been here 7 years or so.
Yeah, and Beelzebub longer
Beelzebub,
than
you've been here a long time.
I've been in and out. That's
Okay.
what I'll say.
Okay.
But Division's old and I'm old and I've been around.
And I think I've been here a long time as well.
Beelzebub.
You're saying it's my fault.
Okay, that's the implication. Yes. Beelzebub, you got injured on that job. Something happened. Something. What is it that is the injury that you took that you're recovering from right now?
This is like a hard one, right? Because I can just heal myself by eating somebody.
Exactly.
So it's not just like regular, I think this is maybe part of what made it ugly, right? So I think this was a harbinger with like some kind of it wasn't power absorption exactly, but like it was also a creature that fed. And I
Okay.
think the thing that it fed on was the hunger. That was like, or at least the hunger was a
Oh.
thing that it could have fed on, right?
Okay.
And in the course of tussling with this thing, whatever it was, and there's a physical injury too, I think. Like again, I've got that scar by my like across my chest, right? And he got like a bite out of my side here.
Mm.
And with whatever he took, came some of the hunger's power. And so first of all, I like lost control and fed on a couple of random people around there, which is part of the mess. Or not even lost control, just said this is something I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Horrifying Samson, my babysitter apparently.
Okay.
And also, and like it helped, but like it didn't. And so now I'm like stuck at base where I can't just eat people. I don't want to just eat people, right? Kind of like sipping from whoever will let me.
Yeah, there's a lot of paperwork there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And it's like most people are all right most of the time. I kind of like people, I think.
Vane, who do you think is your like direct report? Like who is your handler for the group or just for you? Do you think it's the same person or are they different people?
Oh, so this is somebody that I report to, not someone who reports to me.
Yeah, like who is it that you go to, and do you think it's the team handler or do you think that you have someone distinctive of your own?
I think it's the team handler.
Okay.
And I think I've got a somewhat antagonistic relationship with them. I don't know exactly what they look like, but I'm pretty sure they don't put up with my smartassery.
Male, female, NB?
Let's say female.
Okay. Older, Younger?
An older female who doesn't take a lot of shit. She's retired army and she is tough as nails and yeah.
And so we'll call her, look at my list of Colonel Thran.
Okay.
And Colonel Thran has come down to get your take on what went wrong on the last mission. Do you give it to her straight? Do you throw somebody under the bus? Do you evade responsibility? Like, what do you
I
think that is?
point out for the 57th time that if we didn't have to take the goddamn fragile humans with us and have to watch out for them, everything would be fine.
And this is the first time that Thran kind of stops and goes, do you think now, given that you have a team of 4 of you, that you could handle yourselves on your own without?
Yes, absolutely. I don't even let her finish the sentence. I'm like, yes.
All right. Just remember that you asked for that.
Okay.
Cetus, who is an agent or personnel or staff or somebody that you interact with positively here? You mentioned that you go to these birthday parties. Like, who is somebody that you've conversed with, that you talk with, that is kind of in your circles?
That I do.
Yeah.
My favorite person is the cleaning lady.
Okay.
And because she knows all the good gossip, because she goes through everyone's garbage. And and as she tells me stories every day, or in the evenings when she comes out, I don't really sleep. So
Mhm.
in the evenings when she comes to do cleaning, or early in the morning, that could be too. I follow her around, and she's used to that. She tells me stories of all the things that she finds in the garbage and all the things that she knows are going on. So I get informed of all the gossip.
What's her name?
Her name is Marisol.
Marisol. Samson, who is like a support staff person, either low-level monster or human, that you've worked with, that maybe deals with kind of the thanatological, death-related issues with your body and so on?
So I think that we have on staff, on staff there is, a doctor, which is normal, but I don't see the doctor. I see the mortician.
Okay.
And I think the mortician is the one who takes care of me and tries to maintain my body a little bit. And, the mortician isn't used to dealing with a body that talks back or that moves. So I always question how good they are, but we have a decent relationship.
Okay. Male, female, NB?
Let's say female.
Okay. And do you have a name?
Don't. If you want me to, I can make one up.
Sure.
Yeah, let's see. I think they're very awkward, and let's see. Cade, Cade, Graham, Gran.
Okay. Cade Graham. Excellent. Beelzebub, who is, now you've kind of been injured, who is the low-level monster that works with recuperation or healing or treatment or physical therapy or arcane therapy that you have to that you've been interacting with?
Yeah. His name. Oh, hold on, I won't give you a name first. So he's a weird kind of dude here. Like,
And that's saying something coming from you.
yeah. He's like just like very very into his hobbies and not particularly into his job. I guess that's normal. That's not weird. But the fact that like he's so in your face about it all the
Okay.
time. Like he makes he's like his hobbies are, he's into butterflies.
Okay.
Trapping butterflies and pinning butterflies, right? Sort of collecting butterfly specimens. Um uh he's got like a stamp collection. I think they're all these very sort of like solitary and almost like acquisitive kind of deals, and he loves to talk about them. Loves to talk about them.
And what kind of low-level monster is he?
So I think he's like I mean, it's weird to say like anything divine could be a low-level monster, but I think he's like a minor god that's been basically forgotten. And I think that god is the Roman. I just like Googled the healing gods. The Endovelicus, the Roman god of public safety and health. I'll type that into the chat.
Okay.
But like no one's ever heard of him anymore. He has, he wasn't that powerful to begin with. And now he'd rather just be, pasting his rare stamps into his what's it called? His
What do you
his
call
scrapbook
those? Scrapbook.
binder. My grandmother has tons of them. But
So you all are called down to the meeting rooms sort of late in the day. And I think all of you will note that the colonel is there, but there aren't any other like team representatives. There's none of the human support team there with them. And the colonel says, we have a situation at a former, and kind of holds that note, like does it like kind of, there's a lot implied by it, former division site. We have 2 division personnel who have vanished, and we believe they are on site there. We are going to be sending you in. It may require elimination of these agents, but we will leave that to your judgment. And that is where we're going to leave off today.
Oh, excellent.
Next time, I'll give you the full briefing on the mission. We'll talk about that. And this will be our first investigation. It's a kind of a truncated short investigation on site, so we can try out the mystery solving rules and get a chance to play with the mechanics. We will do stars and wishes at the end of next session once we've had a chance to play out, so we're not going to do that today. And I'm going to stop the recording.